we had to flee our country because Nasrallah gave us two options. Either you stay and you are killed in your bed, kids, women, anyone who worked with Israel, or you leave and never come back.
Maryam Younnes is a master's student in communication. She's the daughter of a former SLA officer, a social activist, a social media influencer, and the spokesperson at the Bar Ilan University, where she studies. Today, I'm meeting Maryam Younnes to explore the remarkable journey of the South Lebanon Army veterans and their integration into Israeli society. Before we dive deeper, make sure to like this video and subscribe to TBN Israel's YouTube channel. Your support helps us get the truth out to the entire world. So let's frame this conversation. You have perfect Hebrew, you're speaking English, you're Christian, you're Lebanese, and you live in Israel. That is, I think, one of the most complex identities I've heard in a while. Do you feel confused with this, or do you feel sort of whole when it comes to explaining it?
I'm very proud that I'm many things. It makes everything much more interesting.
You're the daughter of an officer in the SLA, which is the South Lebanese Army.
Yes.
Here's the very little that I know about this topic. Israel, First Lebanon Wars, 1982. We go into southern Lebanon. We remain in southern Lebanon all the way till the year 2000.
Yes.
May
2000.
May 2000. Yeah. Then Prime Minister Ehud Barak promises in his campaign, we're pulling the IDF out of southern Lebanon. It was becoming a very bloody practice, let's put it that way. This never-ending chain of violent clashes between the IDF. First it was certain militias, then it became Hezbollah in its early days. Kept getting worse and said enough, huge internal pressure in Israel, the IDF pulls out. And then there's this question, I remember this, I was at the end of high school when this happens in 2000. I knew very little about the world back then. And I remember the story, and they said, well, what are we going to do with the South Lebanese Army? These are our brothers in arms. You must care for them, bring them out of Lebanon. And I remember that there was a pain and almost shame involved in the way it was done back at the time. And you grew up in that story, you grew up in the house of an officer in that army. What is your story?
So the Southern Lebanese Army is actually the last army that fought Hezbollah on a Lebanese soil. It was mostly, Southern Lebanese civilians, citizens, obviously, Christians, Shiites, and Druze, all Lebanese people that wanted a free Lebanon. Because first we were occupied by the PLO, and many don't know that. The PLO actually operated from southern Lebanon, not only fighting Israel.
Explain this for our viewers. PLO equals Yasser Arafat.
Yes, exactly.
The person that they think is connected only to Israel. He was an arch-terrorist for 4 different countries.
Exactly.
The Jordanians, the Lebanese, Tunis, and South, and then back in Israel.
Yeah, the PLO or the Palestinians who were kicked out from Jordan because they tried to overthrow the king.
Yeah, Black
they
September.
were transferred exactly to Lebanon. And they fought in Lebanon. They fought not only the Lebanese people, they fought Israel from Lebanon. So many don't know how the PLO actually killed, raped, took lands and houses of the Lebanese in southern Lebanon.
Really?
In the name of fighting Israel. It was no man's land, southern Lebanon, and that's why the southern Lebanese actually asked help from Israel even before Israel entered Lebanon in the 80s.
You can say invaded.
Invaded.
Yeah, you can say invaded. It's true.
So we asked help from Israel, and we were like, can you just give us arms because we want to protect ourselves? And Israel actually gave us arms in secretive ways. And then later on, it invaded. Again, we asked it. Like, our government actually asked help from Israel. Because us, as Christians, we felt that, who's going to help us? It was a civil war. Christians against Muslims in Lebanon. It was bloody, it was horrible. And unfortunately, this war is still affecting Lebanon to this day. So this is how the Southern Lebanese Army was created. And then after the PLO, Hezbollah decided that it will fight Israel because Israel stayed more than it should have in southern Lebanon. And that's actually gave the legitimacy to Hezbollah to create this resistance narrative. And we were still funded by Israel. So we fought Hezbollah. After the PLO, we fought Hezbollah. And in 2000, when Israel withdrew, without any agreement about us, because we were a militia of Israel, we had to flee our country because Nasrallah gave us two options. Either you stay and you are killed in your bed, kids, women, anyone who worked with Israel, or you leave and never come back. And we didn't have any government to protect us because back then in 2000, Lebanon was occupied by Syria. So we had to flee, thinking it's gonna be for a week or two until the Lebanese army take over this territory called Southern Lebanon. And it never happened because, you know, Hezbollah took over because we had Syria occupying us, legitimizing Hezbollah, allowing it, with the support, of course, of Iran, to control Southern Lebanon. So May 2000, I was 5 years old. I still remember that night. We had to just run away.
Wow, what a mess.
Yeah.
What a mess.
It's crazy. And it's the same terrorist organization that operated in 2006, in 2000, in the 80s, in the 90s, and so on. It wasn't the Lebanese government who started the war on the 8th of October.
Well, there isn't much of a Lebanese government.
Exactly. Unfortunately, we don't have a president in Lebanon. The economical situation is
terrible.
Is, you know, horrible, more than terrible.
So let's do a bit of a history crash course. Lebanon was a country that pre-Civil War was, give or take, a slight Christian majority, right, in the country?
Yes, it was a Christian majority, yes.
Not a big majority, though, a little over half?
A little over half.
Yeah. You started saying before we were rolling that the Lebanese Christians are not Arab in their ethnicity. Please explain. This is news to me.
The Lebanese Christians believe that we are actually Phoenicians. The Phoenicians were a civilization that operated in the Levant. We believe that we are indigenous to this land. We are not Arabs. We didn't come from, you know, Arabia to the region. The language was forced on us. We do speak Arabic, but we are very different. We have our own culture, our own history, our own narrative, our own belief. We are Christians, you know, we managed to preserve it. Even our language is very still influenced by the Aramaic and Syriac. We pray in this language. So, yes.
If you are a small country or a minority, be it religious, ethnic, or something like that, and you're not incredibly strong on your own, or in Israel's case, both very strong on your own and have strong friends, let's be honest here, your prospects are dire at best. You look at the Kurdish minority, you look at the Yazidis under ISIS, you look at the Christians of any country in the Middle East. In the Middle East, yes. Every country in the Middle East, it's always going to be rough, it's always going to be violent, you're always going to be fending for your life.
Yeah, that's why, for me, growing up in Israel, I admire the Jewish people because they really created from a minority, like they are a minority, but they created not only a strong country, they are able to protect themselves. And I'm saying to Lebanese, we should learn from Israel.
Before the war, like some of the news coming out of southern Lebanon was Hezbollah was getting substantial pushback from the population there.
Yes.
And I'll let you tell that story because Lebanon's your country.
Yeah, so Hezbollah in the last years, especially since the port explosion.
Can you remind everyone what that was?
The explosion of the port of Beirut.
Yeah.
You know, this is like the richest area in Lebanon, in 4th of August. It was a disaster. Hezbollah was losing its legitimacy because the Lebanese people were like, we are seeing only disaster because of you. We don't want you anymore. We want Lebanon. We don't want a foreign power in our country. It's very clear that the ideology of Hezbollah is an Iranian ideology.
Absolutely.
That doesn't represent the Lebanese people. And it was like, I'm not gonna say a downfall of Hezbollah because obviously it takes a lot to, you know, it's a country within a country, but it started to lose its legitimacy. People weren't afraid to talk against Hezbollah. And then 7th of October happened.
Just shows, I think, and you would know this, it's the complexity of like the fact that Lebanese people are not all Hezbollah. And Hezbollah isn't Lebanon.
At all.
Obvious to you.
Of course not. It's really, I'm furious when people think that Lebanon is Hezbollah.
Yeah.
It doesn't represent the Lebanese people. Maybe it represents
a percentage.
A tiny percentage, even of the Shiites, of the Shiites people, because it's not Lebanon. It's literally hijacked the country.
What are the reports coming out as someone who actually is able to read the news in Lebanon or understands it? What's been going on in Lebanon since the war started?
Let's talk first about the displaced people. It's at least some places I read even, 500,000, even more. The houses and villages that were destroyed because Hezbollah operates there, exactly within the population.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Intentional. They build tunnel systems under the villages.
Exactly. This is how a terrorist organization operates in the Middle East. This is part of their strategy. The population knows that if they don't cooperate with them, they will be killed. It's a shipwreck of a country. So after the ceasefire, right now, the Lebanese people are trying to understand what's next. Are we going to be able to actually gain control over Lebanon? Is it really the end of Hezbollah?
The stronghold, or the chokehold, I should say, that Hezbollah had on the population there is terrifying. I wouldn't want to live under something like that. Something like that. You can say what you want to say about the population. It's the most funded terrorist organization in the world ever. You were mentioning your father took your family to Israel. I imagine you have family in Lebanon.
Yeah, so my family is in southern Lebanon. My village is in southern Lebanon. My father is buried in southern Lebanon.
How does that work?
If someone passed away here and he want to be buried in Lebanon, we can do it. There is a procedure. It's just heartbreaking because I'm looking at myself and my personal stories. We fled our country because of this terrorist organization. We fought for our country. We fought for this exact piece of land, southern Lebanon, for over 20 years from many invaders. And then we had to flee. And now, again, through the years, we saw it becoming this Hezbollah factory.
Yeah.
And my family lives there. I can't be in touch with them. We're not allowed to talk to them. We paid huge price.
Yeah.
And right now, our family in Lebanon are paying the same price. My story is just like any other minorities here in the Middle East that are fighting for their freedom, having to pay the price, dying. They are raped, they are, kidnapped, they are everything horrible, tortured. And this could be me, but I ended up in a country that allowed us to become the people we are today.
Yeah.
Modern, liberals, we are not afraid to say our opinion. We are unique because we understand the Lebanese point of view and the Israeli point of view. We speak Arabic and Hebrew. I'm Christian, but I also understand, Judaism because I celebrated Hanukkah and Pesach with my friends at school, and then Christmas and Easter with my family at home. So I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. Although we lost the war itself and we had to, flee our country, but we won.
A war zone in the Gaza Strip being under fire by Hamas terrorists. You don't have time to sit and drink your coffee and wake up in the morning and get ready for the day and prepare. So sometimes I woke up at 2 in the morning after an hour and a half of sleep, and you need to wake up immediately and do your job and do it to perfection or people die.
You literally have your life on the line. You don't know what corner you turn and somebody's got a gun pointed at you.
So in order to wake up, I just took a Vinia pill, and I really felt the energy levels go up faster. The clarity of mind that doesn't usually happen immediately when you wake up in the morning.
Right.
And I don't remember taking much stuff with me into the Gaza Strip. I had my sleeping bag, a flashlight, and the Vinia bottle. So that's what I had with me.
You're a young person. You're very healthy, but you still think that Vinia was helpful to get you to even a higher level of performance?
It's helping me to exceed my normal abilities. So let's say, I'm at 100%, and that puts me at 120. With raising 3 kids, you need to be sharp and make the right decisions.
Raising 3 kids may be equal to combat.
A lot harder, a lot harder. Listen, I'm still taking Dinya every day because I want to be there with my kids when they grow old. I want to be able to dance at their wedding and carry my kids and my grandkids for years to come. And this is the time to start, when you're young.
And if you look at what the SLA people did, I don't think there's anything more noble than sacrificing and fighting for your own people and for your own values. Your father, his family, his friends that fought alongside Israel did an amazing, amazing job for, again, the span of a generation in holding back Hezbollah and holding back the terrorism and holding back the evil.
100%.
And that legacy, if you look at that from that perspective, that's like a whole lot of legacy to stand on.
Yeah, we were the last army that actually stood in front of Hezbollah and didn't allow him to take over. And we saw what happened after we left.
Yeah.
No one was left to fight them. And it's heartbreaking, again, because you just see how history repeats itself. So
I've learned a lot. I also feel slightly confused. You present an oddly optimistic persona, considering...
my story is tragic enough not to be positive,
I guess that's one way to look at it.
I wouldn't call it tragic, actually. It's not tragic. It's not tragic. It's sad. It's not tragic.
Why do you say it's sad? It's
sad because, again, we are people who lost. We are exiled from our country. Me, personally, I lost my dad. He's buried in Lebanon. I can't visit his grave. And many other people lost their loved ones, and they are not even known. Their story is not known. No one knows about us. No one heard our story. No one heard about the heroic act it takes to literally fight in a no-man's land and lose your life for it. And then after a couple years, you just see the same story unfolding again. So yes, it's sad. I grew up dreaming about Lebanon. I want to go to Lebanon. I want to live in Lebanon. I want peace with Lebanon. But at the same time, it didn't stop me from thriving here. And again, becoming the person I am, successful, educated, and the whole community is like this. Although we went through a very sad story, a very tragic story, it didn't stop us. We managed to integrate in the Israeli society. We preserved our own culture, our own religion, our own language, our own heritage, but we are very much Israelis as well. And I have to say that it was very much because Israel actually allowed us to, and they helped us a lot.
We have a ceasefire agreement with the Lebanese, which is actually, it's Hezbollah, the Lebanese government, army, Americans, French.
Yeah.
All the gang is back. The band is back together. Anyway, but it's a reunion. It's reunion of people that don't want to be in the same room. But anyway, everyone's hope is that it gives an opportunity for Lebanon to be a country again.
Yes.
And that's what everyone's praying for. Let's see the Lebanese people have a real army again. Not a proxy army, not an army that fears Hezbollah, a real army. Let it have governance again. And then maybe, I'm looking for the hope in all of this, and maybe it might even happen, where we could have something that matures into more than just a ceasefire agreement with the Lebanese people.
I said since the beginning of this war that I believe this is going to be the last war between Israel and Lebanon. And you know what? I will say that I want to stand behind my words. I do believe it's going to be the last war. I do believe that we are stepping into a new Middle East. We just need leaders that believe in bringing people together and in peace instead of the division that has been going on so far, because people want peace. Lebanese people always wanted peace. Israeli people always wanted peace. I believe even Palestinian people want peace because we are sick and tired of wars.
Yeah.
I do believe that Hezbollah need to be dismantled and eliminated completely in order for this to happen.
Agreed.
The Lebanese army need to take the sovereignty over Lebanon. The Lebanese people need to elect a president. I do believe that we can get rid of Iran's grip over Lebanon, and then I believe it's gonna be a peace agreement, 100%.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Maryam, thank you very much. I said at the beginning of this conversation, I think I'm going to learn a lot. It's been very educational. It's been also very, it's been light and optimistic in a way that I wasn't expecting. Your story is a very unique story in the sense that it gives people hope. One, to understand the nuance of humanity in this part of the world. And two, that even in countries that are war-torn and violent and have this painful history, you still can find good and hope and people who've prospered. And I find it to be a story that people need to hear. They need to understand how nuanced life is and how much good exists everywhere you are willing to look for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you have an incredible family story and history, something to be very, very proud of.
Thank you.
You know, incredible
I'm
heritage.
very proud. I'm very proud of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maryam and her family are an amazing story of courage and adaptability in a very complex situation, but they are not unique. SLA veterans, and especially their second generation, have fully integrated into Israel and define themselves as Israeli Lebanese. They understand that for freedom and hope to prevail, with their prayers and ours, Lebanon and the entire region will eventually be freed from extreme religion, terror, and oppressive forces. The battle against these forces isn't over, but the just side will always triumph. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Share this message with your friends, your family. Your engagement amplifies our voice and shows the world that truth will prevail. We're united in our pursuit of peace. Thank you, and protect yourself. Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.